Real Madrid. Los Blancos, a behemoth, a glorious institution. In the pantheon of truly great football clubs, Real Madrid stand alone. But how do they do it? How are they still at the top? The Galactico era finished a long time ago, and yet they have found a way to reimagine themselves, redefine themselves, and remain the best and the biggest football club in the world. The easiest thing to do when discussing Real Madrid's brilliance is to focus on the money. Gareth Bale cost 101 million quid. Eden Hazard cost 115 million quid. But it's so much deeper than that. It's so much cleverer than that. It is so much more poetic than simply exploring the financial privilege that Real Madrid have. In fact, it doesn't even get close to telling the proper story. In fact, on some level, you can dispel the financial chat altogether. If you look at the rankings of football clubs around the world with the biggest net expenditure since 2018, it will shock you how low Real Madrid are on that list. To put it frankly, Real Madrid don't spend very much money at all. Since 2018, they are 15th on the list. So 14 clubs worldwide have spent more money than Real Madrid, and yet Real Madrid's success since 2018 is dazzling. How? How can this be the case? In the summer of 2018, Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid, and yet their standards have remained at the very top. And in that period of time, since the summer of 2018, West Ham United have spent more money than Real Madrid. Tottenham Hotspur have spent more money than Real Madrid, as have Al Hilal, Al Nassr, the list goes on. And yet Real Madrid, the prestige of Real Madrid, remains at the very top. To demonstrate quite how insignificant the spend is at Real Madrid, let's analyse their most important game of the season up until now. Two Goliath football clubs going head to head with the game neck and neck from the first leg. Everything to play for. Carlo Ancelloti is obviously going to count on his very best men available. 5 of Real Madrid's starting 11 from that night cost less than 10 million quid. And 8 of the 11 that started that game were signed when they were under 22 years old. You've got 2 academy graduates in there as well. Real Madrid, the days of the Galacticos are over, and yet they are still phenomenal. I think what makes Real Madrid's success so startling is the way that they've managed to shift from one era straight into the next one seamlessly. It's as if there is a continuity of the club that isn't reliant upon the personnel that's wearing the shirt on a match day. Like, this is no longer the Real Madrid of Sergio Ramos and Cristiano Ronaldo. This is now Bellingham and Rodrigo and Vinicius. But the standards are identical. Like, let's just analyse the players that left Real Madrid fairly recently. Losing even one of the icons that I'm about to mention could prove so damaging. But for Real Madrid, the machine keeps turning. In the summer of 2018, Cristiano Ronaldo, off the back of an outrageously brilliant season, heads off to Juventus for 100 million quid. That move triggered an exodus of legends. In the summer of 2021, Rafael Varane heads to Old Trafford for 34 million quid. The following summer, they lose Casemiro, an incredible part of one of the best midfields to have ever been assembled. Casemiro was pivotal. Have they let him go too early? His first season at Manchester United suggested that it was a mistake, but 60 million quid for Casemiro looks like incredible business for Real Madrid now, doesn't it? That same summer, they got rid of Gareth Bale. Now, Gareth Bale isn't seen in a particularly favourable light by Los Blancos fans. He is seen as being a little bit of a joke, but let's remember what he achieved at Real Madrid. Losing a player of his quality should be damaging, should be problematic, but it wasn't. Bale scored some iconic goals for Real Madrid. He won them a Champions League. He will go down as Britain's best ever footballing export. Can Real Madrid cope without his inclusion? Can Real Madrid cope without his contribution? They most certainly can. Then, the summer of 2023, last summer, Karim Benzema went off to Al Ittihad for free. They then needed to try and replace the irreplaceable. They considered Harry Kane. If Carlo Ancelloti in fact had his way, Harry Kane would have been leading the line at the Bernabeu. But they couldn't afford him, and they instead signed Joselu. It was widely reported that Carlo Ancelloti was desperate to sign Harry Kane. He was begging Florentino Perez to make sure that the Tottenham hitman ended up at Real Madrid. But, put simply, Real Madrid decided that they couldn't afford him. Their new look approach didn't allow for another massive purchase from the Premier League. Their fingers were burnt from what had happened fairly recently. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Eden Hazard. The Hazard failure really did affect the approach from Real Madrid. They weren't going down that road again. If it were 20 years earlier, there is no doubt that Harry Kane would have become a Galactico. But Real Madrid have a new look, a new approach, a new vision, and a brand new MO. That's right. Real Madrid are no longer just the biggest club in the world. They are also the smartest, the most intelligent club in the world. The way that they conduct their business is a model for everyone to learn from. The days when they used to parade the biggest players from the biggest leagues, signing them, making the name, enjoying spending the money and making the noise that goes with it, they changed their approach entirely. Now they nurture and they encourage to flourish the next big thing. And what they have done in the transfer market since 2019 is truly outrageous. The summer of 2018, the summer where they lost Cristiano Ronaldo, the summer that could have seen them never burn so bright again. Do you know what else they did that summer? They signed Vinicius Jr. for a bargain. 39 million quid from Flamengo, and they allowed him to develop in their aura. Vinicius Jr. will win a Ballon d'Or. In his career, a Ballon d'Or is awaiting him. They signed him for less than 40 million quid. So astute. The following summer, 2019, they signed Militao from Porto for what? 43 million quid. What a player he is. Then in 2021, in came Camavinga, fighting off the approach from Liverpool. They got their man. Rennes Starlet was heading to Real Madrid. Again, for a very reasonable sum. Less than 30 million quid. 27 million pounds for a player of Camavinga's quality. By 2022, the following summer after signing Camavinga, they have a new look midfield ready for the future. Aurelien Tchouameni signs for Real Madrid for 69 million quid from Monaco. Camavinga and Tchouameni ready to inherit the wisdom of Kroos, Casemiro and Modric. Then, I think the most switched on and most astonishing signings arrived. David Alaba and Antonio Rudiger arrived within a year of one another, both for free. Alaba and Rudiger for free. Outrageous. In amongst this era as well, they managed to sign both Thibaut Courtois and Rodrigo. Rodrigo arrived from Santos for 39 million quid. Thibaut Courtois, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world at the time, left Chelsea to go to Real Madrid for, and it pains me to this day, 35 million quid. And then obviously, the jewel in the crown. Jude Bellingham arrived from Borussia Dortmund last year for £88 million. So, it proves that they are ready to spend the money when it is essential. But wow, the transfer work that they do is simply outrageous. Real Madrid's approach to football is obviously one of privilege. We know that. They aren't doing it from a place of inferiority. That's why they argue for the Super League. That's why they argue for the tennis-style seedings. They do that for the furtherance of the big clubs, for the furtherance of the rich clubs. But looking at it strictly through the lens of football, their transfer dealings are so admirable. They are the richest football club in the world. £723 million worth of revenue they generated last year. Do you know what I think is also very interesting with regard to the amount of money that's been spent? You know, earlier I said that Al Nassr had spent more money. Nottingham Forest have spent more money. AC Milan have spent more money than Real Madrid since 2018. I use that as the shock factor. But actually, what is more shocking is the big clubs that have spent more and still are struggling. The big clubs that have spent more and simply cannot compete. Chelsea, for example, have spent far more than Real Madrid. We're not even in the Champions League. Manchester United, for example, have spent far more than Real Madrid and are a comparable institution and yet simply cannot get it right. Barcelona have spent more and yet aren't even close to recovering their former glory. They just keep going. When Cristiano Ronaldo left that club, some suggested that there would be issues. Some suggested that they wouldn't be able to get to the heights again. But since Cristiano Ronaldo left that club, since 2018, they have won 10 trophies. As a club, They clearly demand from the top down. They want the best players, of course they do. They want the best staff, of course they do. But they also have the best scouting network. Since they made the mistake of signing Eden Hazard for all of that money, a transfer that clearly didn't work out from a Real Madrid perspective, they have got everything spot on. The other thing that they do so well is the revolving door, the transfer policy. When we talk about transfers, we always focus on the players arriving. Look at the way they get rid of certain players. Look at the timing of allowing players to leave. They don't get it wrong. The season before they got rid of Cristiano Ronaldo to Juventus, he scored 44 goals in 44 games. That shouldn't be the time to allow him to leave, should it? Somebody is making elite executive decisions. Sergio Ramos, he left for free because he missed the deadline to get back about a new offer. So they weren't sentimental, they weren't romantic, they didn't allow Ramos to dictate to them. They put something on the table for Sergio Ramos. He deliberated for too long and the rule stood. He left for free. They weren't sentimental about Keylor Navas, a very good goalkeeper. They improved a position of strength. Navas was a good goalie. He was doing very well for them. The fans were happy with him. But they identified that Thibaut Courtois was a better goalkeeper. Thibaut Courtois was available for a fraction of what he was worth, and they decided to sign him anyway. Strengthening a position of strength is the sign of true winners. When Karim Benzema went to the Saudi League, he went there as the reigning Ballon d'Or holder. It can't be easy to let a player go who is that significant to your club. Ronaldo, Ramos, Navas, Casemiro, Varane, none of those players were in obvious decline when they left, but none of them have proved Real Madrid wrong for allowing them to leave. None of them have gone on to do better than expected. The pursuit of youth has also been so impressive. Signing Vinicius Jr. when he was 16 years old. Signing Rodrigo when he was 17. Signing Valverde when he was 17. Militao was 21. Camavinga was 18. Tchouaméni was 22. Focusing on the present by bringing in players on a free transfer such as Antonio Rudiger or David Alaba, but also keeping an eye on the future and signing players like Vinicius Jr. when he was a child. It is astonishing. It is so clever. It is so astute. It is football heritage. And that is why they are so set up for the future. Carlo Ancelloti, an icon, arguably the greatest manager to have ever lived, is on the precipice of history. Real Madrid are the great Champions League team of the modern era. They stand on the brink of 6 Champions League trophies in 11 years. And if Carlo Ancelloti can win it at Wembley, it will be their 15th trophy, which will put them double the second spot, which is AC Milan on 7. Look at what they did in that previous game against Bayern Munich. On the 88th minute of that game, they were going out of the competition. By the 91st, they were going through. They are unstoppable. They are a behemoth. And I wish Carlo Ancelloti the very best this weekend. If he were to win the Champions League this weekend, it will put him personally on 5. That's not including his brilliance as a player. 5 Champions Leagues as a manager for Carlo Ancelloti. That puts him on 2 more than his nearest managerial contender, who is, unsurprisingly, the Real Madrid icon Zinedine Zidane. They are an outrageous institution, a wonderful proposition, an enlightening force, and a lesson to us all. The business conduct as well as the beauty on the pitch. What a club. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do me a favour, give it a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you really enjoyed it, why not click subscribe. Cheers.